Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Mike is here. Amy's here. Hello, Ames.
Hello. Back home.
Little Pippi Longstocking going on.
Yeah. Mike, it's been a rough day. I think I texted you last night. I was like, I can't do a show. I've got a meeting early in the morning.
So this was yesterday.
So I got home late last night and I had a meeting early today. And so I was on Central Time in Houston. And so when I looked at my meeting on my calendar in Houston, it said it was at 10, but it was really at 9.
Oh,
and so this morning, and it was in Monroe. So this morning, I'm just like dicking around. It's like 8:15 in the morning, and I'm just like slowly getting ready.
Yeah.
Hadn't even showered.
Good.
Yeah. Hadn't even showered yet. Look at my calendar, and I'm like, the meeting is in 45 minutes. So I have never put makeup on faster. Didn't take a shower. I didn't go dressed like this. I didn't have pigtails in my hair, but I wore a hat. I was late to the meeting. It was a big fucking disaster.
Was it a meeting you had to be at? It wasn't one of those like, you guys got this.
No, yeah.
I'll see you at the next one.
Right. And then my coworker who I was with in Texas, I texted him. I'm like, dude, I'm going to be late, because I fucked up this meeting. And he called me and he's like, I thought it was at 10 too. He's like, so I'm going to be late. We were all late. It was just.
Yeah. So dumb. Yeah. We're live right now, but late. So it's just you and I here today. I was running around today. I've got a sick boy here. G Money's been sick again.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he's got pneumonia. And so he's been
around.
Dude, but he just got done being sick for 3 straight months with something. And he and I were talking about it, and it's almost like he's like, I've never been the same since I got that second vax shot. And G's more likely to be like, trust the science. They'd say we need 9 of them. Let's get 9. Like he was in that camp for a long time, no matter how much I was like, what the fuck is the matter with you? You can't see what the bigger picture, like, so he is like come full circle now. Like, this was bullshit, sort of.
Yeah.
But it took a while to get there. And he's, he doesn't want to believe. Like, why would health officials bullshit people? Like, I understand that thought process. I do, especially when all the people you have trusted your whole life in media and stuff, shows that you're a fan of, have been telling you, like, you're not just wrong, but you're a bad person if you don't do this stuff. But he's like, ever since I got that, like, how I felt immediately after getting that second shot wasn't right. And ever since then, and so we've been talking about it, and it's like he had 105 temperature. Like, for an adult, that's not good.
Yeah.
That's really not good. Like that kids do that shit all the time, kid's got 105, but for an adult, that's really scary. And like, I don't think I've ever had that.
Yeah.
In my adult life, ever. And it's like, G's flirting with that kind of stuff. It's almost like he's starting to think, and I don't think he's wrong, that his immune system sort of changed with that second. Like that's like as clear cut a case of vaccine injury. I can like firsthand see it. I see how his body's reacting. Like where, I got sick. I got a cold. I got the flu. Your body tends to react one way. You feel kind of crummy for a couple of days, and then you get on with your life. And when you've got children, parents know this. These kids are passing shit around at school all the time. And so it's just, it's new to me, but a lot of parents are used to that. G's is almost like he gets sick and his immune system is like, all I could think was like, it's like kicking in the doors at the bar and starting a brawl. Starting a bar brawl. That's what his immune system's doing. It's like, there's a little bug going around, and his whole system goes into this like catastrophic war and shoots his temperature through the roof, and it's crazy. It's crazy.
That is crazy. And I mean, the problem, and I think we've talked about it before, is nobody would look at that seriously as like a vaccine injury. It'd just be like, no, that's just, you're just getting sick. It's nothing to see here. Don't ask any questions.
Right. And if you do, you're a bad person. Like,
Yes.
not you're wrong. It'd be one thing if it was like, I believe something different and I believe you're wrong. You're entitled to that. I have no problem with that. It's the you're a bad person who wants to hurt other people. It's that leap that you're making that pisses me off so bad. It's kind of nice having someone to talk to where it's like, yeah, you see what I've been talking about? Like it's crazy that this experimental, untested vaccine was just thrown. And if we talked about it on a show like this, like gone, they would just delete your show. Fuck monetizing.
That was crazy.
Insanity. And so he finally was at the doctor again today, hopefully for unless it's something horrible. You know what I mean? Like, and you just don't know. I mean, is it something way worse? And you're, God, I hope not. But it just, he's putting a couple things together and like, yeah, everything has kind of changed since. And for all those people that are like, he's a vaccine denier. It's like, no, dude, he's one of those like all in on your team guys. So spare me that, he's level headed and smart enough. But anyway, so praying for him at this moment. And I had to take Cease to the vet too. She had to get a shot to her.
So, I've got to take Diesel in too. And I just dread it because he's 14 and I just am like prepare myself for the worst every time. So I'm delaying it as long as possible, but I've got to take him too.
Yeah, it sucks. They know. She fucking knows. When she walks in that building, she's like, uh-oh, I know this place. She lays, like, usually she's right there at my side. She wants to look at me and follow my, what are we doing? Who are we talking to? Are we sniffing? We licking? He's like under the chair, just like, I know what they do here. I know what this place is all about. So I noticed my connection is going in and out. I hope we can. In and out.
I can hear you, but it's just your like camera that is delayed.
Hopefully with this, and weird. We can get I don't know if I'm going. I'm assuming it's on my end that the weather here has been really rough, and Arizona doesn't do well with a lot of rain. It's not monsoon season, but it's coming down out there. So I don't know if that
is it sprinkling.
No, usually that's what I do. I laugh at them. I'm like, oh yeah. And they're like, oh yeah, big rain today. And I'm like, hilarious. It's like that one you get in Florida at like 1:00 in the afternoon where it sprinkles for 5 minutes. And they're like, oh yeah. And you're like, cute. That's adorable. So yeah, I don't know, but it was messing with my connection, YouTube TV and stuff in my bedroom earlier. So I'm a little concerned, but anyways, I thank you people for being here. I know we weren't here last night. Ames was traveling and it was just like, okay, I'll try and, I don't know what your availability is, but I do want to do a member show this, at some point tomorrow, whatever. So we'll try and, get something like that in, but I figured better to just do one tonight with you being here, off the travel. I know how rough that is to travel, and now I'm dealing with my own issues over here. But I will say this part of the show is brought to you by your insurance expert. Are you paying too much for health insurance? Are you uninsured? Health insurance can be confusing. Nick Matthews from Your Insurance Expert is an expert in health insurance, life insurance, and Medicare supplements, so you don't have to be. Please call Nick today, 248-914-1173. Nick reached out to me yesterday. So he's on top of whatever I got going on, and I just e-signed something for him, and he's off and running. So yeah, he's great. He's on top of stuff. I'm dying to get your opinion. I know, just knowing you as well as I do, I'm assuming you're a subscriber and a member of Michelle Obama's new podcast.
Obviously.
Yeah.
I've been
Have you checked it out yet?
I mean, that's why I was just so slow to get ready this morning. I was just engrossed in Michelle Obama podcast.
It's great. It's very, very good. I actually forced myself to check out the first half hour or so today. It's so funny. So she launched a podcast with her brother Craig. Come on, Craig.
How about that?
Yeah, and it's titled IMO. Okay, in my opinion, with Michelle Obama and Craig Robinson. dropped their first 2 hot episodes Wednesday. And this article I'm reading from Newsweek, which is hilarious. You're in Newsweek, Time, like all the usual suspects are already jumping on. So far, how does it compare to Joe Rogan's podcast?
Oh, no. How
I'm like,
offensive.
you're fucking joking, right? You're joking. The first article about this, not to mention all the guess what's coming later this week? Michelle Obama's new podcast with her brother.
Oh, my God.
Like, why it matters is so they've got some bullet points for us here as to why this matters. Well, in the 24 presidential election, podcasts emerged as a key and influential media source with appearances or lack thereof from both President Trump and his opponent, Kamala Harris, making headlines, racking up millions of views, with Trump having a much greater reach than Harris.
Now I see what this is about.
Yeah, right? So they figured out what the problem was.
We
right?
just got to start a podcast.
Yeah.
That's all we have to do is start a podcast for someone to go on during the election.
Yes, this is where we failed. So what we need to do, let's get Gavin Newsom out here.
Yep.
Let's get Michelle Obama over here. How's the Markle podcast doing? Is that one still crushing for us? We already locked up Barack and Springsteen. So let's get that one hammering. It's so offensive and so
insane.
Refusing to acknowledge what the true problem is for these people.
Right.
And no. It wasn't that people didn't have access to hearing your word.
Right.
That one. No. They sought out authenticity is what they did.
Right.
And so if you think you're just going to go launch a podcast and it's going to be a fucking home run, you are sorely mistaken, Michelle Obama.
Yeah, and I don't think they're quite understanding that we don't want another platform that's going to feed us propaganda and softball questions to these candidates. And oh, by the way, Michelle Obama's not going to have Donald Trump on her podcast. Okay, but Joe Rogan would have Donald Trump and Kamala Harris on his podcast.
Exactly.
So, the fact that you didn't have a podcast is not what was missing. Okay?
No.
It's not why you lost.
They're all doing the same things, and I'll go through some. But so now in the first sentence, we can figure out what this is about.
Right.
The problem in the 24 election was Trump did these podcasts, and they had Joe Rogan, and it was just stacked against us.
We had no idea how influential they'd be. It's crazy.
We had no shot. What with the lack of podcasting ability we had. According to Baclino, 47% of the U.S. population aged 12 and above listen to podcasts at least once a month, with YouTube, Spotify, and Apple as the big dog. Yeah, well, heads up for Rumble because they're going to smoke all of them. So you heard it here. More than 70 million people listen to podcasts in 23. That number is projected to be over 110 million by 29. So what to know? Michelle Obama's podcast debuted this week. Data is not yet available. So do we have a hit? Do we have a home run on our hands is what we need to figure out. The views and stuff on YouTube are the only things that are public right now. Her first episode received 43,826 views as of press time, while the second episode has reached 14,000 views. Yikes. In contrast, the most recent episode of Joe Rogan received 750,000 views. A much higher viewership, we would admit right now, but
she's just getting started. Yeah,
we're just hitting the ground running.
Yeah.
However, one area Obama is beating the shit out of Rogan, and this is key. So make sure we tell people this. This is really important. She is smoking Rogan here. Subscriber engagement. Oh, I see. On YouTube, okay, follow this. Obama has 17,100 subscribers, while Rogan has 19.5 million. Obama's first podcast episode has reached more than double her subscriber base, with her second reaching nearly 100% of her subscribers. So they're trying to say that's good news that she got 14,000 views with 17,000 subscribers on episode 2.
Right.
While Rogan reached 3.8% of his own subscribers. What a loser.
Wow, what a loser.
What a
It's
loser.
almost every single Joe Rogan episode I watch on YouTube, the very first comment that pops up for me is always, why was this shadow banned from me for so long? That's like the first comment on every Joe Rogan episode.
Yeah.
And so that means absolutely nothing to me because I can almost guarantee that, yes, YouTube is pushing out Michelle Obama's podcast to her
100%.
followers. They're not
100%.
doing the same for Joe Rogan.
No. His Trump interview had 60 million views or whatever, and you couldn't find it when you Googled it or when you searched for it. Like it was crazy. He actually had to say something on his show for them to be like, fuck, they caught us and turn it back on.
Exactly.
It's just hilarious. The former first lady is no stranger to hosting podcasts. The Michelle Obama podcast was released in 2020, and I quote here, was the most successful original in Spotify history, bringing in more women listeners over 40 than any other podcast. Okay.
Why'd she stop doing it then?
Yeah, I know. And why wouldn't she just go back to that same well? Like if you've already got
successful ever.
If you've already got a bona fide home run, use the same bat you were using before.
Right.
Like why would you go and adjust?
Got this incredible built-in audience of women over 40.
Yeah. I mean, it's a metric I've never heard of, but it's all, this.
It doesn't sound like any group I want to fucking be a part of. I'll tell you that much.
No, the most successful original in Spotify history. Okay. Yeah, sure. I don't know exactly what that means. And I don't know how you're getting there. And women over 40 as an exclusivity didn't seem like, I never remember that when we were looking at ratings categories through my career.
Right.
I don't remember. Here's what I do remember, Amy. I do remember this. You'll a lot of times see people do this and they'll be like, here's Joe and Michelle, the #1 show in Kalamazoo. And you're like, who the fuck's Joe and Michelle? And when you get into the weeds in ratings, you can see like #1 when it comes to grandmothers who have poodles that they feed after 3:00, but only once a day. And in that category, Michelle and Joe are the #1 show in all of Kalamazoo. And you're like, okay, sure. So that's kind of the thing I think of, because a lot of them are like the #1 morning show in Detroit. And you're like, yeah, by what measure? Like, no, there was one #1 morning show in Detroit forever. And then all of you guys are getting cute with what that actually means #1 in.
Yeah.
Toddlers also change their own diaper. #1 in that category.
I'd like to go on record and say that I'm still so bitter about Dave and Chuck the Freak. Like, so bitter about it. My husband will bring it up from time to time, and I'm like, why do you listen to them? Like, it makes me angry. And they popped up on my algorithm on YouTube the other day.
Yeah.
And I was just like, why the fuck are you in my algorithm? I don't want you here. I'm just like still so bitter about it. I don't know why.
I'd have no problem. I swear to God, I was done with Riff. I was done. I was done with radio for years before that. It was like honestly, I feel bad about it because I couldn't have mailed it in anymore if I tried. It was like, go there. You got to be there at a certain time, get a fucking paycheck and go home. Fuck this medium. I didn't like it's a terrible attitude. I'm not proud of it. Like I didn't, it wasn't really a firing. We were still the #1 show in the market. And there were myriad reasons. It wasn't that I gave up on anything. It was just, I wasn't crazy about the product that was being put out. And if you don't have the heart for that, and there's very specific reasons why I won't get into, but that's just where my heart was. That's where I was. And so I didn't give a shit. I was thrilled. We're like, oh, fuck. If this was what we're doing, it's better. Let's go do something else.
Yeah.
That's just how I felt. So it wasn't like a jealousy thing. I didn't care. Dave and Chuck, great. You could have syndicated O&A in there, or whatever, or you get some young, talented team coming in there. I would have been just fine personally. I know hardcore fans would have been like, fuck this,
Yeah.
The problem I had was it's literally, there's probably worse shows out there. There probably are, like less talented, upstarts, hacky,
Yeah.
That is as hack a fucking morning talk
Yes.
show as I've ever heard.
It really
That was
is.
my problem. That's
Yeah.
where I took offense.
I'm glad to, yeah. And that's the impression I got too. And I wasn't sure if I was just, my vision was cloudy on it because I was just bitter about the whole thing. And obviously, I mean, it worked out for the better. It's better to listen to Drew on a 3-hour podcast that has very little interruptions and he can talk about whatever he wants versus listening to him on the radio. But just they're just, it's not a good show. I mean, every time I've listened to it, I'm like, I can't believe people listen to this shit.
I know.
It's painful.
Painful. That laugh, the one of them does.
The laugh.
It's
oh
just,
my God.
It's as hack morning bit radio as I've ever heard. It's just awful, but whatever.
Really
it's like syndicated. I think that doesn't mean much to me, but
that's crazy to me.
Yeah, I think it's syndicated in Boston.
Boston.
Which is where at the time Greater Media, their hub was in Boston, so kind of makes sense that there'd be a kind of like why there. If that's your parent company and owns a lot of media out there. I don't know. I won't pretend to know the inner workings, but but whatever.
So was Drew and Mike syndicated ever? Were they syndicated?
No, the reason Opie and Anthony was syndicated was because we turned it down. They tried to syndicate us in New York and Philly, like all over. They tried to syndicate us in Red Wing markets, which would get us, because at the time, you get 50,000 watts, 30-some thousand watts, whatever Detroit was, which is big for a metro area. You hear like 200,000 watts. In the boondocks somewhere where no one can hear it anyways. But that reached all of Metro Detroit, Canada, a lot of Windsor, that kind of stuff. So they wanted to syndicate us in Red Wing markets, which was like into Ohio, Kalamazoo, like on the west side of the state, and up north. And Drew that came close at one point. And then they wanted to syndicate us, which would have made a lot more money for us individually. It would have required because Drew and Mike were not going to really do it. You have to do a lot of stuff. You have to go to other markets and do like bar promotions. So they would have sent Mark and I.
Yeah. Okay.
And, you know what I mean? To hand out T-shirts and do dumb shit.
Right.
Broadcast live, hey, let's send it out to Mark and Mike. They're live out whatever, It would have been shit like that. And Drew just wasn't interested. He just didn't want to. Drew has and I probably shouldn't speak for him, but then when it was just like, this is probably the first broadcaster in the history of the medium that is turning down syndication. What the fuck is wrong with these people? But when they finally just realized, okay, they went a different route and O&A got that syndication. Yeah.
It would have changed the show though, I feel like, because I mean, what made it so great was the local bullshit and, the calls and covering local stories and,
it would have worked though. It would have worked.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think the O&A, what O&A was doing at the time was literally like the birth of a podcast. That's kind of what they were doing, bringing comics in and having real conversations and getting away kind of from the bit driven radio.
Right.
Which it's just a different style. Drew would have been fine. And Mike, they would, that show would have done well because it's a good show, but the O&A one worked. I think that worked really well for those guys for a while. But going back to Michelle Obama.
Oh yeah, Michelle. Sorry, didn't mean to derail the conversation.
No, you're great. So no, it's funny. I don't know how in the weeds I go sometimes on like back.
Oh, people love that stuff.
I hope so. But so speaking about her podcast on Instagram, Obama wrote, "There's a lot going on in the world right now. We're living through some really complicated and confusing times. On top of that, folks are trying to juggle family, life, work dynamics, relationships, aging parents, and more." Holy shit.
Yeah, this is like life. Oh, Michelle. Yeah, people. So you're saying people are living life? Yeah. What a fucking groundbreaking concept.
By the way, what you're talking about there, she's in our first episode, we share stories about growing up on Euclid Avenue in Chicago and the journey that led us to who we are today, from life on the South Side to college to the White House, and more recently, our experience after losing my mom, or our mom. It's been a lot. We always know we have each other's backs. For over 6 decades, we've been each other's sounding board, and now we can't wait to be yours too. This might as well be a press release, Newsweek, by the way.
Just two brothers yucking it up on a podcast.
Yeah, Big Mike and C-Rob coming at you live. This, by the way, what you're describing here, Michelle, is a fucking interview. That should be a 3-hour interview on Joe Rogan's show.
Podcast. Right.
This isn't a podcast, what you're describing.
Right.
This is an interview. You go on a real podcaster show, and for 3 hours, you talk about your upbringing. How does this go from Euclid fucking Avenue in Chicago to the White House? I bet it's a great story if you're fun about it and honest about it. But that's what that is. That's an episode. That's an interview.
What she doesn't understand, it would behoove them to start with by going on Rogan. Rogan would have Michelle Obama on in a heartbeat. And if that goes well, Michelle, then maybe you go, I'll start a podcast maybe because people want to hear what I have to say. But that's where you start off.
Organic.
Is organic like that, not just by, and then she's going to have Gavin Newsom on, he'll have her on, and everybody will just recycle all these. I actually give Gavin Newsom credit for having Charlie Kirk on as his first guest.
Sure.
I give him credit for doing that. But that's just what this is going to be, just recycling the same people over, and
we've seen him do it with Meghan Markle and Prince Harry and Barack and Bruce Springsteen. Like they still think like, oh, we have a big name. That's what makes it popular because that's what you used to do on late night television and all that kind of stuff. Well, that doesn't work. And I'll tell you this, they will not compete in this space. Okay. So if you're worried that Michelle Obama is, she's going to take over, she will not interrupt the podcast world.
No.
And why is that? Well, the reality is she didn't earn it. You don't, like that's the difference in podcasting. It would be fine to do what you just described. Go on Rogan, do a 3-hour and have people go bananas and go, oh my God, I had no idea she was so engaging. I had no idea how fun she was. You humanized her and she's not just that
I want to hear more of her.
I need to hear more. And then it's like, do something once a week.
Right.
And then you really find out that you enjoy doing it. You want to hear a minute of it just to hear?
No, but yes.
Yeah. So Big Mike is, and I'm putting myself through this and see what you think. And I literally started 2 minutes in and we'll just play it for a couple seconds. And it's got the usual, you can see, they've got the set. They've got the table. It's a clean room. They've got the best microphones in the world. Okay. They're using the SM7Bs. They've got the proper cameras. It's a multi-cam shot. So they've glued in all of the things, like how do you win in podcasting? Yeah. They still think that. It's the aesthetic. It's how it looks. It's using the proper equipment and then have, maybe a director on set to cue you in. And it's got the bubbly intro music and the flower, like the typical things that most podcasters look at and go, fucking gross. Ugh, I don't want anything to do with it. So let's hear him just for a second, just so you know who we're talking about.
When we think back to where that came from, I think about just the physical closeness that we had. I mean, we weren't wealthy.
Right.
And Dad was working class. We lived in the same apartment our whole lives and had to grow into that. And as a result,
victims.
You and me, we were physically close growing up.
Remember when we used to share a bedroom?
Of course, that was our life.
Brothers usually do.
Me and my brother and sister did that.
The same room until you went to high school, right?
That's right.
Well, let's first just recall how small the apartment we lived in. It seemed like it was huge, but it was essentially 2 bedrooms, right?
Oh. No, it was 1 bedroom.
Oh, well, that little offshoot bedroom that Mom and Dad stayed in, you would consider that a bedroom.
But that was the only bedroom. The room we were in was actually the living room. And the living room.
Do you get it though, Ames? They're poor.
God.
They were poor.
Oh my goodness gracious. That is not a fun podcast. Nothing I'm trying to listen to.
It doesn't get any better. And I don't mean to just pick on her, but what you have here, without the cover of the media, like something like that, like I'd have mad respect if she and her brother put together something quietly and just launched a podcast and started talking and doing their thing. But when you get cover, like everybody's doing breaking news, Time Magazine, Newsweek, the New York Times, all doing write-ups of this thing. Like you didn't earn anything. Like you were forced to cover Joe Rogan. Why? Because his show became undeniable. The success was undeniable to a point that you could not fucking ignore it anymore. Couldn't do it. You couldn't. So this is more of the same. So without the cover of the media landscape and no pushback from hosts, they can't compete because authenticity is, again, all that matters.
And that's what they're missing.
And what you have here, okay, just putting her and her brother in, you have two non-hosts driving a talk show, an engagement thing.
Yeah.
Like, and you can tell you have no fucking clue how to do it.
Right.
Like it's insulting to think, her name's Michelle Obama, so let's go.
I would venture to say that the next one up that's going to have a podcast is Gretchen Whitmer.
Yep.
And I have a feeling that this is all part of a, some type of, let's see who has the best results so we can decide who our candidate's going to be. This is probably part of that. They're like, podcast works. So if we have a good podcast host, maybe they'll be a good president.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's also, can't wait for Trump's podcast, by the way.
Oh, can you
imagine? Now that is a podcast I will listen to.
Actually, I don't know if he'd be great.
If you put him with somebody that can keep him on track, I think it would be good.
Yeah, he's such a, I don't know. I don't know if that would be good.
Mike, he does like 3-hour pressers.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, isn't it? I mean, he's hilarious. Yeah. He says the funniest shit.
Yeah, I don't know that after time, like that would be compelling enough to want to listen to. Like I can't watch his Trump rallies and stuff when he was doing those.
Yeah, that's true.
Like
he talks about the same shit over and over again.
Yeah, over and over again.
Yeah. And if he were like telling stories of like what happened when he was like in the White House and in government and stuff and like telling different stories, that would be good. But I get what you're saying. Like it would turn into the same, kind of like when he was on Rogan and he kept trying to talk about the Lincoln bedroom. And Rogan was like, no, I'm trying to understand, like, what was it like when you first walked day one? You're in the White House.
I'm here.
Yeah. And he's like, and then there's Lincoln's bedroom and this. Yeah. And it's just
it's
like,
the
no,
same.
Dude.
It's like they haven't changed the room at all since he was there. And you're like, yeah, no shit. I know. Yeah, I'm well aware. There's something different about driving a compelling show or attempting to. And this is like, you've built a set, okay? You've built a set. You've got the cameras. You've got the proper microphones and go. Wasn't earned. No one was dying to have this content. One thing that's interesting that my guess is nobody will pick up on, but as I listened to it, one thing jumped out at me. And that is they talk about, you remember dad and mom and dad and this push of like, and it's totally monotone and boring. Like if you had real people delivering the message, it would be worth something. And I sincerely mean that. If you had engaging personalities, which they don't really have, there's a big problem there. But it's like, yeah, you remember our dad, on time was late and early was on time. They got us an alarm clock, when it was like, we're going to kindergarten, they got us an alarm clock. And as mom and dad would say, we already got our education. It's on you now to go get yours. Get yourself up, make yourself breakfast, and get to kindergarten. Oblivious to the fact that what they're really doing is talking about how their lives turned out okay and they were stable enough to be in proper relationships and function in society. Why? because they had two parents in the household who kept them, who had rules that they had to follow. They didn't care what other people thought about them, and they made them fucking earn it themselves as children. And it's like, yeah, you sound like you're running a conservative fucking talk forum right now.
Yeah. Remember when BLM wanted to destroy the nuclear family?
Yeah,
but go on. Tell us more about your nuclear family.
Yeah. Oh, this is how it was in our household, where they held us responsible for doing our homework every night, and lights out at 7:00 and dinner as a family. Like the most nuclear family rules you can get.
Right. And it's and you seem to turn out fine. You didn't end up on the street being a gangbanger at 12. So that's saying something. Yeah, you should recognize
honestly, that. If they launched a show, if they did the whole Big Mike and and C Rob, Big Mike and C Rob, telling it like it is, telling you some hard truths with Big Mike and C Rob, or something like that, and then you came out and went, "Hey, look, man, people are failing their children. Here's the reality." Our parents got us an alarm clock when we were starting kindergarten, and we were required to get up, not just get up, but clean ourselves, shower, brush our teeth, prepare our own breakfasts, and get our asses to school. Starting in kindergarten, they were laying the groundwork for successful living going forward. And too many people today are not doing that. You live in a country that's got tremendous potential. No one can stop you. This isn't Europe, where blue bloods can get and rise to the top. Their family connections can get to leadership roles. No, this is America, where literally you can start on Euclid Street in Chicago and with proper guidance, work your way into the fucking White House. God bless America. Thank you. This has been our first step. Like, you could literally have discussions like that, but it's like, no, goes right over their head, that the content they have sitting in front of them is right there.
Yeah, but they're just not genuine people. They're just not normal. They're not normal. That's what I always say. Democrats don't know how to be normal. So
it's just wild, man. It's wild to me that this goes on. It's like, and until you get to an authentic space like that, where you're not worried about hurting someone's feelings or worried about what's this small marginalized group going to think about the latest statement I said, Gavin Newsom is an interesting test case. He's already pissed off the trans world. And for what? What did Charlie say that was so offensive in that interview about the trans debate? And but they're already like, Gavin's in a tough spot. Like, Gavin knows right and wrong. Gavin knows that if you take a developed male body in high school and put it on a girl's team and let it compete, it's going to have the outcome more times than not that we all know is going to happen.
Right.
So you can deny that reality, or you can acknowledge it. He acknowledged it. Can Michelle, because that's where you're going to see some growth on a podcast. If you can have those real conversations,
right.
Yeah, that's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
So I'll
100%.
keep up on that podcast for a little bit. If it's that bad, honestly, it's bad. It's not good.
I give you a lot of credit, Mike.
Well,
I'd be listening to that on 2 times speed at least.
They'll probably liven it up. No, it's very monotone. It's, you know what? I kind of take it personally, because I understand that every kid with a microphone and an internet connection can be doing a show, and they can generate numbers, whatever, like that. That's just the reality of the times we live in. But there is a reason why some people got to levels of success in markets and whatnot. And it requires more than just what Michelle and Craig are thinking you do to be. And I would think she would feel the same way if I just knocked on the White House door and was like, where do I start governing? What do I got to do?
Yeah.
Like, I would think people in that
Where are the Christmas decorations at, Michelle?
Yeah, right. And well, maybe that's what it is. She's like, yeah, anybody can hang Christmas decorations and take the pictures, so it's no big deal. It's just
Mike, not to totally change the topic, but something just popped in my head. And I found this out yesterday right before I got on the plane ride to come home. You know that plane that flipped over?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Someone,
In
Toronto, it flipped over
Toronto,
in
yeah.
Canada.
It's left from Atlanta.
Yeah,
I had a story about it.
Yeah.
But
So you know what I'm talking
where are you
about.
going? Maybe. Go ahead.
Okay, so I find out that someone that works at my company out of Minnesota was on that flight. Yes. And
Whoa.
yes. And apparently she had gotten upgraded at the last minute to first class, and she said that had she been in the seat she was originally assigned, she would have been covered in jet fuel.
Oh.
Yeah. And guess she's still, super skittish about everything.
Yeah, I would assume.
But just like hanging upside down.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even imagine. I cannot even imagine how terrifying that must have been.
Dude, they were all like bats in a cave.
Yeah.
Just all hanging upside. You can imagine.
Yeah, and she said that like 80% of people just had their phones out.
Did you ask her about the pilots or the crew?
So she also said that I didn't talk to her directly. I'm getting this third hand through somebody else, but it works with her. But she said that there was all these news stories that the crew just handled everything perfectly. And she said as soon as the emergency door opened, she said you saw flight attendants booking it across the tarmac, just like leaving everybody behind, like, see ya.
Yeah. Dude, I can imagine when it comes down to it, you're making what? $20 an hour? Like,
right.
You see jet fuel leaking. You see a plane on its fucking head. That ain't supposed to be. Like, you're
just survived. You're getting out of there.
You're a spark away from, and it's like, fuck that. Good luck, everybody. Yeah, that whole emergency exits. Will you sign off on that? You have to say it verbally and acknowledge. You'll be your response. It's like, I'm always sitting there thinking, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'll
open the
react.
door. Yeah, I'll open the door and I'll be like, later, fuckers.
Yeah, follow me,
I got the door
assholes.
open for you.
Yeah,
and we don't hear enough about the emergency exit row people. Like, I would love to know how the emergency exit row people performed in that situation. Everybody survived, so presumably they had a duty. I would like to know how they did. And if they didn't do well, they should be banned from sitting in the exit row from here on out.
And the fact is, unless you're like a military guy who's been through some shit and knows how when the ultimate moment happens, right? Yeah. The shooter came in and here's how I reacted. Like, you don't know if you're going to be like bitch guy or if you're going to be, like, for all I know, the plane goes up on its fucking hat and I start crying. And I'm
100%.
Like when they're like, here's how you do the seatbelt thing. And then they're like, because I've been in that row because I want extra leg room. And they're like, do you? And I'm like, I nod. And they're like, no, we need verbally. You'll come in. That you're going to be the hero that opens the door and helps people out. And I'm like, sure. But knowing full well that, like, dude,
never.
Shit hits a fan. I might faint. I don't know.
Right.
I might
do not count on me in an emergency. I am not going to help you.
I could eat. Just as much as I might go, everyone follow me. Let's go. Come on. You first. Ladies first, dickhead. I might be that guy. I also might wet myself and sob. I don't know.
You'll just be screaming.
Yeah. Like, we're all going to die. We're all going to die. I might start punching women and children. Get out of the way. We're all going to die.
And if you think about it too, like when you're hanging upside down, like gravity's working against you such that you can't just like undo your seatbelt or you're going to fall. Right.
Yeah.
So I guess the guy next to her was like lifting her up with his shoulder, which turned out to be broken. So he's lifting her up with his broken shoulder so she can get out of her seatbelt and not, fall to the ground. I guess they gave everybody that $30,000 just off the bat, $30,000, but you can still sue.
The shut up money. Yeah.
Well, you can still sue though, which
you can. But they're hoping like, hey man, we gave you $30,000.
No. People are going to sue. People are.
Yeah. As they should. I want to know. There were stories originally about the pilot that came out, and all that kind of stuff. And I was looking
it was
at
the
stories.
all-female flight crew, right?
Yeah, but that's the rumor, but I don't know. And I don't know what the play is. So one of the stories I had today was about that, the dramatic crash of Delta Airlines jet that flipped on its roof while landing at Pearson Airport in Toronto has sparked massive outrage among people over diversity DEI initiatives. Several social media users claim that the airplane was handled by an all-woman crew, which resulted from the DEI initiative. However, most social media claims were made without any proof or details about the pilots or crew members. Amid online backlash, Delta Airlines CEO Ed Bastian clarified the experience and qualification. And I'm like, okay, we're going to get to the bottom of this. According to this report, we won't post the name or info. The Delta plane crash was piloted by a woman who just got certified by an operator airline that makes a big deal out of having female pilots, was one of the things. Sorry, I kind of jumped there. According to the report, the captain was hired by Masaba Airlines in 2007, which merged with Pinnacle Airlines to form a subsidiary of Delta. And so, thank God we've got the CEO, Ed, coming on to clarify all these rumors, unsubstantiated stuff. So he told CBS, all these pilots trained for these conditions. All the pilots have been trained and have the experience of flying in wintry conditions. He has not provided details about the pilot or first officer who were on the plane that crashed last week. This obviously is an older story.
Yeah.
So wouldn't it be easy to just come out and be like, no, there was the male pilot. There was the crew consisted of.
I mean, it was obviously all chicks. It obviously was.
Yeah. And it's funny. And why do people get that? And you don't say anything. Like, here's one of the clips that was going around and why, like, these people seem to brag about this sort of thing. Here's one of them.
What, like it's hard?
I just played the first one. Okay, so there's the chicks. So how do I get rid of this? Remove. All right, you want to play the second one?
Yeah.
Did somebody say slave?
Ugh. You practiced this and filmed it. It's just fucking blows my mind. All right, let's see the third one.
I think I might know somebody in one.
Girls, come on.
Seriously?
Leave the saving of the world to the men? I don't think so. I don't think so.
Live fast, die young, bad girls do it well. Live fast, die young. No, we ain't giving no hold. I ain't Romeo and I'll hold.
Oh, when you have an unmanned flight crew. All chicks.
You got into Harvard Law?
What, like it's hard?
Okay, and there's the
Brutal. Like, that's not normal.
No.
It's not normal, by the way, for it's something to be all women.
Yeah, no.
You know, like, I don't know. I will say this. Everybody on that flight survived. Okay, so that's incredible. And I think that the pilots, I would assume the pilots deserve some credit for that because I think the landing gear gave out and they had to.
I thought it was a wind something or other on landing which flipped it.
I thought that I read that it was the landing gear that gave out and they just thudded to the ground and I think it flipped over. So, I mean, it is incredible that nobody died. Okay. I think that is, they didn't skid off the runway and go into a big ball of flames. So, that deserves
which is a miracle that would have had nothing to do with the pilots. When that thing starts to go ass over apple cart, no, you, as Drew would say, you are a passenger at that point. Yes. You are no longer in control. When it starts to do a belly roll on the ground, you're just along for the ride at that point. Yeah. So for whatever reason, God went, okay, let's just fucking have them hang like bats in a cave for a second.
So
They'll be all right.
terrifying. That would be so scary. Oh my goodness.
Oh my God. Yeah, dude.
And I'm not kidding. We were boarding the plane yesterday, and my coworker from Minnesota is telling us the story. I'm like, the timing could not be worse that you're telling me this because I'm going to be thinking about it the whole plane ride home.
Well, I always said I want to go on the ones that just crash. So when you have like a crashed airline, I want to go on that airline next because I know they're going to be minding their P's and Q's. Yeah, they're gonna doubly check that list, man. They're gonna go through that checklist, make sure everything's dialing in. Like have you ever had a plane that like 2 days in a row like wiped out? Like no, never.
Yeah, just on 9/11. Which, by the way, I'm pretty sure that I prejudiced my little niece who's 9 against United Airlines for the rest of time because we were talking about 9/11 when we were in Florida because I think we were talking about that 9/11 cheer routine. And so Natalie had a bunch of questions about it. And like, I think she said, was it a Delta plane? Because she only flies Delta. So she wanted to know, was it a Delta plane that flew into the towers?
Yeah,
no. I was like, it was United. So I'm pretty sure she's never going to fly United now because I told her that those are the planes.
United was
and American.
Logan, right? They were both leaving Logan in Boston.
Yeah.
And headed to LA.
Yeah.
And then made a detour into New York. So it was United. Which one? Was it United?
It could have
95?
also been American.
I think there was an American, but was it United that landed in Pennsylvania?
United Flight 93.
Flight 93, 95. Yeah. Flight 93, but I don't remember which ones went into the buildings.
Let me look it up.
Not that it matters, but...
Well, now I want to know.
Yeah. No, that goes to a story. The Daily Mail got this as an exclusive about some top DEI activist who's caught on voicemail offering minority air traffic controller candidates the chance to cheat in a make or break entry exam. I mean, it's too long of a story to read all of it, but it's just fucking unbelievable. Shelton Snow, a powerful figure in the National Black Coalition of Federal Aviation Employees, the NBC FAE, can be heard promising advanced access to test answers in an audio clip obtained by Daily Mail. I don't know how they got it. There's some valuable pieces of information that I have taken a screenshot of. I'm going to send that to you via email. I am 99.99% sure this is exactly how you need to answer each question. Inside info was made available in 2014 to African Americans, females, and other minority candidates. White people were left out of the loop to minimize competition. Exactly how many applicants were able to capitalize remains a mystery. But one former member, Matthew Douglas, said, I know several people who cheated, and I know several people who are controlling planes as we speak. Snow's message was recorded just weeks after the FAA announced the biggest hiring shakeup in its history during an Obama-era push to widen the aperture for women and minorities. Federal government agency had replaced its peer-reviewed cognitive exam with a biographical quiz asking things like, how would you describe your ideal job? And classmates would remember you as humble or dominant. Okay. Critics say quixotic blend of multiple choice questions was designed to screen out elite, mostly white students from FAA accredited college courses who excelled in traditional aptitude tests. Nonetheless, it was proving incredibly tricky for anyone to pass with a 90% failure rate. So the really elite ones didn't know how to answer this fucking test. These stupid test, and they were failing at 90% rates. So that's when Snow decided to intervene. Then president of the NBC FAE's Washington Suburban chapter contacted members in January 14 with a list of HR buzzwords to insert into job applications. These buzzwords will flag your resume, thereby giving you the advantage over thousands of resumes that may flood the system. They were urged to highlight their association with the NBC FAE, the largest employee association within the FAA. This is for us to know who our people are in case that we have one of our own on the board, okay, in charge of hiring. In the past, we've always had one, and they share our enthusiasm. Can you see the strategy? Yeah, dude, we can see the strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Only concerned about African Americans, women of every ethnic background, and other minorities. Please ensure you share this information with no one that is identified outside of that. This is to minimize competition. Snow went further in the voicemail. Brothers and sisters, I know that each of you are eager, very eager to apply for this job vacancy, and trust that after tonight you will be able to do so. I am asking that you allow me to provide you with an email that will be extremely crucial in the opening stages of this hiring process. I'm going to send it to each of you as you progress through the stages. Refer to these images so that you will know which icons you should select. And it goes through a whole thing like, when asked this, say this, click this.
Right. Yeah.
When it was leaked by a whistleblower, the FAA came under pressure to investigate. Snow admitted that he had organized a teleconference to walk through the test and explain to each person how they should answer the questions. The Department of Transportation's Office of the Inspector General under Obama, for what it's worth, nonetheless cleared him to continue his FAA career, concluding the findings in this investigation did not warrant a referral to the federal prosecutor. Snow went on, have a nice, successful career. Blah, blah, blah. So let's see. When Daily Mail reached out to Snow to ask for his version of events, he said, with all due respect, I have no comment. Please do not call this number again. The push to diversify our skies began around the turn of the century when special interest groups started lobbying the FAA to adopt RNO, race and national origin and gender conscious hiring. Controller positions had typically gone to military vets or standout graduates from accredited air traffic collegiate training initiatives, CTI schools, who scored highly on rigorous cognitive tests, the AT-SAT. But NBC FAE chiefs complained about the disparate treatment and underrepresentation of blacks, citing a 2009 study which declared air traffic control the least diverse branch of the federal government. So do better. Do better on your testing. Do
Right.
What you do in school.
Right.
Holy shit, are you kidding me? So the problem is there's not enough of them that can pass the fucking test.
Right.
So drop the test and do some bullshit one. Would people think of you as humble or obedient?
Right. Yeah, like new rule, if my life is in your hands, only the best people need apply.
All bets are off, man.
Zero diversity, equity, inclusion needed in occupations where lives are in your hands. It's one thing if, you want the name it, the people at the office. You want to have a diverse group in there.
Yeah. Do it at
that's
Starbucks.
fine. Do
it at Starbucks. Let them wear them pins. I don't give a shit.
Right.
They probably make
best people only, flying planes, directing air traffic control, being doctors. And hey, some of those people may be minorities, and that's wonderful. So long as they're the best people. No. And we should know that the airline that we're getting on is not taking the best people, and that they're employing that should go into our decision making.
I want to know if what they're spending their time on is doing choreographed, practiced dance routines to show off that you've got a whole woman crew. I want to know that when I'm booking a flight. I do. If that's what's important to you, if that's what you're showing off and bragging about, instead of an incredible on-time record, an incredible, safety record. If that's what you're bragging about, dude, it's one thing in the NFL, right? Oh God, it's so cringe. These guys practiced rowing the boat after a touchdown celebration. Ugh, gross. Yeah. But whatever. You're not hurting anybody, and it makes for a TikTok video. Cool. Dude, when you're talking about airlines, those girls practiced getting in a pyramid together and walking in step together to be boss bitches. We're running the show now. That's embarrassing to your gender. I'm sorry, Amy. It just is. It's embarrassing. When a 2012 barrier analysis suggested the AT-SAT was a problem for minorities, it was scrapped in favor of biographical assessment under a 10-year FAA strategy to add depth and diversity. Look, I don't want me hired in those positions.
Yeah, right.
This isn't a skin color thing. It's not a gender thing. You
Yeah.
don't want me in the co-captain's chair.
Right.
You don't, like, if you want to hire some goofy fucking wannabe woman who's clearly an ex-linebacker with fake long fingernails doing the intercom and serving beverages, whatever. I look at those people and I'm very polite to them and I just go, whatever. Cool. How much damage can you do when you're pushing a fucking food court through the middle of the plane? I'm not too terribly concerned about it. But I need to know that you guys are absolutely dialed in when it comes to that cockpit.
Right.
Dialed in when it comes to who's running the controls when you're talking about the tower. Like you just can't under any circumstances fuck around. And if that means 100% of those people are Asians,
yeah,
great.
it's fine
Good.
with me.
Good. And I'd be
Yeah.
the same way if they said, I don't know what it is, but for some reason, black women own this. We can't beat them. We've
Yeah.
tried.
They score the highest on all the tests. They just
crush.
get it. They get it.
And
Great.
it would be a joke for a while, like, oh my God, I'm on a flight and I don't have one black female pilot. This is insane. We're risking my life. Like, it would be a joke, and then it would be like, oh, thank God we got black women flying this thing. I don't know why, but they test through the roof. They're the most competent pilots on planet Earth for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I don't care what the reason is.
Yeah.
I wouldn't hire me, and I wouldn't hire some clown that's more worried about their dance routines on the fucking runway, ever.
Yeah.
The switch that I talked about, going away from the AT-SAT for this 10-year plan to get more diversified, proved catastrophic for CTI grads. Okay, the guys historically that score through the roof and get these positions, who could ace skills based on aviation tests, but struggled to get to grips with the quirky biological replacement stuff. Congress eventually passed public law which barred the FAA from using a biographical assessment as an entry point, but that was too late for a lot of these CTI graduates like Douglas here, 36-year-old guy. He failed it twice and never became an air traffic controller. There's this guy that was handing out the answers, and I just stopped talking to him. I was like, I don't need these answers. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. I don't know if the FAA vetted these people thoroughly and properly, but I do know that they were given an opportunity that other kids deserved. And, I'm not saying that's what happened here, but stories like that and the cover up of stories like that and the goofy fucking videos we just watched of like, we're all manned crew, not on this flight. Like,
yeah. You know what I don't love is that we haven't heard jack shit about that Army helicopter that flew into that plane and killed every person on board. Much like the Trump assassination attempt that has just gone bye-bye. And I don't fully understand it. Like, how did that happen? How the fuck did that happen? And what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like, every single person on that passenger airplane died. Huge loss of life.
Yeah.
In that accident. It wasn't like it was just the 3 people on the helicopter, which would have been bad enough. No, like every single human on that plane died. Women, children, pets. Like, what? Nobody cares? We're good. We're good there.
No, a lot of us care. We've run into one thing. This administration coming out the gate on fire, just blowing through stuff is the headline writers don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. It used to be our whole lives, Amy, was like, I don't know, once a week you'd get some story that, you'd get breaking news. And even that was kind of like, it's kind of forced breaking news. There wasn't real stuff. And then there's a lot of filler in, what you're doing and what's going on right now with a lot of these agencies, with Doge and stuff. It's running roughshod over the machine. They don't know how to report on it. And so stuff's getting buried. It's getting lost. It was here today and it's gone. And I feel like that story in particular, the Army helicopter that crashed into that. I mean, I forgot about it.
No, I know.
Like, it's just gone. Like,
I know. I mean, I think about it every time I fly, but yes, also, yes. It's just out of sight, out of mind. And just to close the loop on crashing airplanes, it was American and United that
in the building,
the Twin Towers. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. In that case, putting in the full context of that time, like where you weren't, that was probably pre air marshals, pre absolute locking of the cockpit door. There were so many things that changed based on that. And so to hold United or American, whatever.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, it's not, no, I just mean in the mind of a 9-year-old, I think, when things happen at like certain ages that are very impactful on you, it like changes how you operate in life. That might've been one of those moments where she's just scarred for life about United and American.
Yeah.
Only flies Delta. And I had to laugh.
And they'll remember it.
Oh, for sure. We were talking about last week or maybe earlier this week. Yeah, we were talking about Southwest and shitty airlines and Spirit and stuff. And yesterday when I got onto my Delta flight, this very nice Black lady flight attendant, she's standing there while people are getting on board, and some guy was kind of fumble fucking around, and she's like basically telling him like, "Sir," she's like, "this isn't Spirit. This isn't how we do things on Delta." And I was dying laughing. She's like, "I had to let him know. I had to let him know this isn't how we do things on Delta. That's that discount airline." I was dying.
Yeah. You're going to behave like that over here?
Yeah. It's not how we do things on Delta, sir.
No, it's wild. And, I hope the whole country realizes how dangerous it is to lower exams and stuff. Like, Jay and I bitched about it for a decade, when it came to firemen, for instance, where it was like, whoa, what do you mean military recruitment stuff? When you start getting into, the FAA, like, holy shit, man, I don't know. It's just insane to me. It doesn't make any sense. Like, even if you do it in law, and it's like, okay, no one's making me hire that lawyer. Like, if I choose to hire some dipshit for a lawyer who got here, and on an easier path, that's on me.
Yeah. Like, he went to some shitty law school in, the Dominican or something.
Yeah. Like, that's on you, man. And if they don't present a good enough case for you, well, that affects you. When you're talking about being 30,000 feet in the air, like, we are all counting on
flying tube.
Yeah, we are counting.
If my pilot is not Travis Bully, I don't want him.
I know, dude. I know. He's too busy with the agency. He doesn't have time for that shit.
That's true. That's true.
The Lynchburg Commonwealth's Attorney's Office said that they have issued a petition for one count of assault and battery against Alayla Everett. This is the baton-wielding chick who has never said I'm sorry. Yeah. Did you see there's a new angle?
I see it here in the videos, Mike. Let me pull it up because I've not seen the new angle.
So again, for those that missed the show the other day when we were talking about Everett was seen at the indoor track championships in Virginia, striking Kayleen Tucker during the 4x200 meter relay event. Tucker was running the second leg of the relay for Lynchburg's Brookville High when she passed Everett of Norcom High on the outside. Everett can be seen pulling her right arm back, smacking her. And she gives the interview like, how could anybody say that I did that on purpose? I know me. Like, how dare you question my... So here's another angle of it, and then we'll have to go back and listen because I can't do two things at once.
I'm sure the school's thrilled she did this interview in her track and field sweatshirt.
Everybody has feelings.
Yeah. Okay, here we go.
So you're physically hurt, but you're not thinking of my mental, right? They're going off of one angle. A couple times hitting her, my baton got stuck behind her back like this, and it rolled up her back. Dude, I lost my balance, and when I pumped my arms again, she got hit. I know my intention.
Yeah, no, that's not what happened. Yeah, no, you are a psycho.
This is just incredible. I don't understand. Like, I think you had the best comeback. Like, I reacted how I reacted in the moment. I feel like an asshole.
I feel like an idiot. And honestly, she probably wouldn't have been charged if she came out and said that. And if she was like, oh my God, I blacked out and I had a moment and this was a learning moment for me. I am so sorry to that woman. If she's got any medical bills, I will pay for them. I will never react like this again. I will always think about this. This has changed me. Like, coming out with some type of response like that instead of like, well, yeah, you might be hurt, but my feelings
Yeah.
The way that
And
we've
how could
normalized
anybody-
gaslighting is insane.
It's crazy. And people like her mom, like, I know 100%. I know 100%. My baby would never do that. And it's like, no, your baby did do that 100%. And now
All
there's
have
two
eyes.
angles. What's that?
We have eyes. Stop
Yeah.
gaslighting me.
Yeah. It's just insane. And you can make the argument, if she had made the argument along the lines of what you're talking about, and just go, the best way I can explain it is I'm a senior on this track team. We're at the States, and I'm as competitive as they come. And when she started passing me, it was just a reaction. I can't explain it on any other way. It looks horrible. I feel terrible.
And you can tell that that's what happened.
Probably.
That is, I think, what happened. She saw this girl pass her. She's at States, and she's like, "Oh fuck no," and took her out. Like that is what happened. I don't think that she went into that thinking, I hate that girl. She slept with my boyfriend and I'm going to beat the shit out of her with this baton thing. Like, I do think that that's probably what happened.
Honestly, Amy, had it not been a baton in her hand, like had it been an open hand running, she probably would have grabbed her shirt.
Yeah.
And tried to pull her back. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But she had a baton in her hand and it was just like, something like that. This is why why I never have faith in these groups, NAACP, for instance. I wonder what side they took. What do you think? The NAACP?
Well, aren't both the chicks black?
I don't know. I think, but
let me pull that video up again. Hang on.
So
oh boy, they're probably in quite the conundrum.
Prior to the charges being announced.
Yeah, I think they're both black.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought so in the first angle. It's even harder to tell in that one. But they said
they're both
they issued a statement in defense of Everett. They said she was not an attacker and described her as being an exceptional young leader and scholar. Well, we should get her in the training program for the FAA.
Yeah.
Sounds like the kind of person we need.
She was just on her way to school, on her way to college.
She has carried herself with integrity, both on and off the field. And any narrative that adjudicates her guilty of any criminal activity is a violation of her due process rights. Well, what about the other girls?
Yeah, what about the other girl who has
like
a right to run in States without being attacked by a madman? How about that?
Yeah, no, fuck her,
rights.
Essentially.
This reminds me of that one time when in Ohio, and that one black girl was holding a knife to another black girl, and the cop shot the one black girl and she died. And then like LeBron came out and was like, "You're next," to the cop. And it's like, he saved the life of a black girl. What are you even saying right now?
Yeah. And that just went away. Yeah. That just went away too when he got fucking ratioed to death for it.
Yeah.
I don't understand how the NAACP doesn't, unless they just don't care. It's like, we've got this small group pocket of people that believe us no matter what stupid thing we say. That's all we care about is the Al Sharptons, the charlatans of the world. That's all we care about. But this hurts your overall attempt to help the community. It really does. If you're not capable of ever looking at a thing and just staying out of it. It doesn't mean you need to slam somebody, but this idea that you need to, as an organization, come out in defense of the indefensible time and time again is just like, it's why nobody can ever take you seriously. If you're not able to look at like stuff that the rest of us are just able to look at, whether, someone is this skin color or that skin color or the sex of someone, we're all able to look at it and go, yeah, it's pretty clear on this one.
Yeah.
Pretty clear what happened there. It's
just, we all have eyes. I mean, stop gaslighting. I find gaslighting to be one of the most offensive things.
Yeah. Yeah. It really is. It really is. I wanted to do another one. I know you love your Roops. I know you're a big fan of your Roops.
Yeah.
I was going to lunch yesterday by myself. And I was going to take this little one with me because the last time I was at this particular, it's kind of an outdoor bar, beautiful view of the mountains and stuff. It's really cool. But other people had a Roops there. and they were just sitting by the table side. And I was like, oh, it'll be dead on a Wednesday afternoon, kind of thing, or Tuesday, whatever day it was. And last minute, I ended up not taking Cece with me. I was just like, I'll just go myself.
Mike, we are not watching this video.
Why?
We're not watching it, Mike.
I'm watching it. You can close your eyes. It's not bad.
Mike.
Little guy's fine.
No, you know what? Before I started doing this show with you, my sister would always say, if you listen.
Now your video shit out.
Oh, no. Am I back? Am I here? I think your video is the one shitting out. Oh, no. Am I back?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Is it me?
While you're backstage. Okay, there I am.
Yeah, I don't know if it was you or me. That was weird.
Yeah, probably me. I'm telling you, the weather's been all fucked up.
It's sprinkling there. But my sister used to say, if you listen to TDC before me and they do a show, they do a story about animals, you have to text me so I can fast forward through it. And now I'm in a situation where, Kelly, I'm warning you, turn it off and don't watch.
Why? It's like I can't watch people like blowing their knees out and stuff. Like I don't want to see that shit. Or people like
I could watch anything that has to do with a human.
Yeah, no, I can't. This one, the dog wasn't hurt, was he? He was shook. What?
Is this where they slam the dog on the ground?
The big dog?
Yeah, at the restaurant.
Yeah, they tackle him and
beat your ass for no. I'm not watching this video.
I don't think it's that bad.
He's
in a restaurant and he's getting stripped. I don't think it's that bad, honestly. I watched it. Yeah, the guy was giving me the stink eye. Get off me! Get off me!
That noise, no.
It's just a fat woman screaming. What do you mean that voice?
That noise is the dog.
All right, I'll remove it. So they tackled the dog. The big dog was like, he was giving me the stink eye, and I had enough. I wasn't taking it.
Mike.
So what is your thoughts?
I don't know. I didn't watch it.
No. Fuck that video. What are your thoughts on taking dogs everywhere you go? Like some people are doing that, and let me set the table this way. In this country, we've talked about it 1,000 times. We are accustomed to somebody's got that. So if this thing is presented, like we talked about Cedar Point, it's like I'm not going on the corkscrew. When as an adult, when Jay and I were there, and it's like those are all rusted. That whole thing looks like it's gonna fall. Like
the teenager running this ride is stoned.
Yes. But we all assume like, no, I'm in the mall. Everybody's got this. They are all professionals. They know what they're doing. And we're accustomed to that. Like if there's something that looks dangerous, it isn't because we're in America and people got this. But then you throw animals into the mix.
Yeah.
And it's like, we're all trusting that this guy knows his dog and he got that. He's good. So the amount of people that walk up, a lot more people these days are like, can I pet your dog?
And
They do that where they didn't used to. Like, I just go up to roofs and I'm like, look at this guy. And it's like, I'm assuming that if you're out in public with this thing, it's not like a killer just waiting to fucking take its day.
I mean, I would say that like every flight I'm on now probably has 3 to 4 dogs on it. I mean, every flight has dogs on it. People just, the little ones in the little carriers. Yesterday, there was this French bulldog walking around the Houston airport, just like, I own this place. He was so confident.
He's a good guy.
Yeah. But no, I always wondered like how it goes at like Comerica Park when they do bark in the park. To me, that seems like a lot of liability to take on. Like
It's a pain in the ass, though. It's not what you think, because we tried to do it. Me and Tooch and T-Roy tried to do it. We were all going to take our roops.
Yeah.
And it's like a very specific section. At a specific time. And it's not like, I'm just bringing my roops to the game. Like,
right. And can sit with you in your season ticket seats.
Dude, my plan was to reach out to you a couple of years ago and be like, hey, do you have tickets for this game? Because I want to take Cece down. Because those seats are great.
Yeah.
And for dog in the park night, I won't feel like that big of a dick because everyone else is going to have their dogs. So
Yeah.
if Cece whizzes on something, it ain't the end of the world.
Yeah.
And then as I looked into it, I was like, oh no, they're not letting you bring your dog into those seats at all.
I mean, to me, as great as I think my dogs are, like humans are just a factor. So are other dogs. You just don't know what's going to trigger your dog at any given moment. Like, yeah, they're good at home, but you're also putting your trust in the public that the dogs are vaccinated and stuff for rabies, and that, nobody's going to bite your kid and get rabies at bark in the park. So I don't know. I don't love the idea, but I also, small dogs that are in little carriers, like that doesn't really bother me that much. I don't know that I would be bringing Miggy places. Like, he's kind of a psycho and he'd be jumping on everybody.
Yeah. Cece likes to do that. What I've found is Cece's never been around kids like her whole life. She's never been around these little midget human beings that don't know how to behave themselves. They don't.
Right.
Like, if you've got a 3-year-old to 8 years old, they go hug.
And they want to touch the face or the tail, and that's not. Yep.
I had an incident here with, so Cece's never been around these things.
Yeah.
And so she's like, holy shit, this guy's my size. And jump up, and you're just going to knock him over. You're going to knock a toddler over.
Yeah.
And so Cece does it to Marshall, where she will not do this to me. I can put my nose to nose with her. She won't do anything. She'll just, she's like, it's day. And like, any adult can put their nose right in Cece's face. She won't do shit at all. She might look away, but that's it. She's not gonna jaw at you. She's not gonna headbutt you. She won't do any of that. Some dogs will. Cece won't. But getting around these little kids. So Marshall's friends come over for a birthday party, and this, he might be 10, but the 10-year-old's gonna bring his 6-year-old sister, 4-year-old sister. And I immediately lock Cece in my room. Like, no, we're not, because they run, and the dog goes, oh, playtime, and runs after him. And then the kid stops, and the dog barrels into him. And it's like, I'm not putting her on death row because some asshole kid.
We had our dogs up north. We have a place up north, and we had our dogs, and they just kind of run around up there, because it's emptiness, and we're on a lake, and they just kind of run around. And one of the neighbor kids came over and, was dicking around with Miggy's tail and touching him in his face, and didn't know who this kid was. And he snapped at him and he bit him a little bit. Not bad, but bit him. And I was beside myself because I'm like, they're going to make me put him to sleep.
Yeah.
I was like devastated. I went up to the local Walmart and like bought this kid a bunch of toys to, maybe make them feel a little bit better, so they didn't make me put my dog to sleep. But I was so freaked out about it.
Yeah.
No.
Dude, I had an incident here with one of these parties where there's a little girl, and 3 or 4 years old, and Cece did what she does to Marshall, which is just instinctual. They jump up and kind of bop. They bop she bops with her beak, which is why I put her away. I'm not dealing with it.
Yeah.
And this little girl's like, rah, and Cece, her and I have never been around kids. I don't know. I've been here a week. I'm like, she doesn't bite anybody. And Cece bopped her right in the mouth. And the mom's like, she's drew blood. And I'm like, my thought, and it's like, okay, Cece and I are leaving. We're leaving the state.
Like, back to Michigan I go.
Back to Michigan I go. And I'm dead serious. No. Everything goes back in the car. We're fucking out of here. No, you're not taking this dog and putting her down. She's not like, she doesn't know. And
that's just it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, she bit her. And I'm like, no, she didn't bite you. Cece never bitten anything or anyone.
Headbutted you.
She jumped up and kind of, she's playing.
Yeah.
But now it's just like, no, you go in the bedroom and they can scream and yell and run around outside all they want.
Yeah.
Cece's not going to be around. Can I play with your dog? No, you cannot.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Yep.
At restaurants, and I've had her in busy streets of San Francisco, outdoor cafes with 1,000 people and kids, at an ice cream shop with kids everywhere. Cece's just fine on a leash. She doesn't do shit. So I'm comfortable like taking her out places, but it's rare. I don't do it very often.
Yeah. It was so funny when we were up north. Dogs are so funny. But Miggy, for some reason, loved sitting in the car. So, like, we just had to leave our door open when we were up north to the car, and we wouldn't be able to find Miggy, and he would just be sitting in the car like a fucking human. Just like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go home now.
Yeah, Cece does that too. I love it. Izzy used to do that. Izzy used to sit like in the driver's seat, and I'd walk out
straight
and
up,
I'm just like, dude,
ready?
Yeah, it looks like you're driving this car, sweetheart. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
they're
love
the best.
dogs. They're the best.
All right, let's do a few emails because they're starting to stack up. Walters at DetroitCast.com. Send your emails. TDC Greatness. Good day, cult leader. 10-year listener from Maine. Well, hello, Maine. Through it all, I've been a supporter. I've been a special listener from day 2 or 3. Okay. Yeah, that's old school. Amy is awesome, obviously. Garrett is great also. Not a fan of him being off camera, but whatever's good for the show. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing with the show. Garrett was never meant to be my partner on air or anything like that. I did not grab a 25-year-old out of obscurity to be my on-air partner, just so we're clear. It's very tricky doing this, figuring out where an engineer goes, if there's ever a producer, how you do that. This is the problem with, having a camera set up like this, people not in the same room. So it's no offense to Garrett. That was just never my intention. So, but that's the confusing part, is to people like listener Jamie in Maine, Anyway, I have had a problem lately. Too many listeners on the live and not as many likes. I also follow both you and Hot Amy, MAGA Barbie on X, @agirl. I like and retweet both your feeds when I watch. Other people need to do the same. That is all. Good day. I said good day.
Yes.
Yeah, I wish. I think a lot of the listeners are older, probably not big tweeters.
Yeah. But if you are watching on YouTube, subscribe.
Comment. Yeah.
Turn on your notifications.
Yeah, all that stuff is super important. It's also super cringe. And it's why I do such an absolute shit job of promoting it. Maybe, Amy, that's your job.
I'll start doing that. Or you know what we have to do? We just have to get something to pop up on the screen from time to time that says like, comment, subscribe, or whatever it says, so that we don't have to say it. Because I'll be honest, it is super cringy. But when I'm watching a YouTube video, I don't do that until someone prompts me to do it, because I just don't think about it. And then someone will be like, hey, make sure you like it. And I'm like, oh yeah. And then I like it and then it's done. I need somebody to remind me. So as cringy as it seems when it's your own show, it is important. So I will try.
Super important. It's super, super important. Walters Radio. I'm on Twitter. And if there was support, I'd do more. And that's the catch-22 is, you got to do more to engage, but you do really well on X, which is great. But yeah, I agree. Liking, sharing, as dumb as it sounds, sharing the show in your feed, liking, subscribing, all that stuff is really helpful for whatever reason, for the algorithm, all that kind of stuff.
Liking puts us into the algorithm.
Right. So thank you, Jamie. Subject, NBA versus WNBA. Mike, years ago, Steph Curry came into the NBA and shot 3-pointers like no one had ever seen before. The rest of the league responded by training harder, and now the entire NBA is basically a 3-point shooting contest. Steph literally changed the course of the league. Caitlin Clark came into the WNBA and shot better than any player in league history. The rest of the league responded by getting in front of any mic they could to say, she's not that good. I can play that good as well. That is why the WNBA is a failure.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I was saying when we were talking about it. There's this weird thing around the WNBA where instead of just talking about talent and that sort of thing, it turns into this weird guilt thing. Like, oh, well, you're just not watching because you're a woman, or she sucks because she's white. And it's like, well, no, can we just talk about how she's really good? Because that's what we do with the NBA. And then the people come and watch. So
we reserve the shit from around other players to behavior of other players. Like Dennis Rodman becomes a lightning rod, AB becomes a lightning rod for their behaviors off. But as far as like talent game recognizing game.
Yeah.
Like that's common in the male world. Like it
Right.
just is. Like
Yeah,
they're not so worried. Like you're not seeing the big picture.
It's not like this cattiness, you know.
And that's what it comes down to. Like another one of the differences that are inherent in men and women, if you're being honest. And for whatever reason, there are cliquey girls. We all remember them from middle school and high school, where girls, while all groups and all young people siphon off into cliques, girls do it in a different way. And it feels like that's what you're seeing in the WNBA, where they should absolutely be looking at Caitlin Clark as like a meal ticket.
Yeah.
Holy
thank
shit.
you. Thank
This
you.
is finally, we got one that the rest of these people actually think has legit watchable talent. How do we glom onto that? How do we also showcase our talents now that she's here getting eyeballs for us? But instead, no, let's make it as difficult for her as possible. Let's act like racism got her here.
And they always do this weird thing with her too, where she must thank the minority women that came before her and laid the groundwork for her. And that's like demanding that LeBron talk about Michael Jordan every single time he's in an interview. Yeah. Like to what end? To what end? How many times does she have to acknowledge it? And
by the way,
really, though?
what did they build for her?
Yeah,
it's a subsidized league that loses money every year of existence. What do you mean? What the four ladies brought to Caitlin? Like, no,
they should be thanking me.
Yeah, if anything, it's the reverse. Like, thank you for almost giving us legitimacy. Our numbers are through the roof for the first time ever. You know, we might actually, this team wins a championship, put people in the streets to celebrate it. Like, what is the disconnect that they don't even recognize that and see that? Like, it's mind blowing to me, but I don't know. It looks like a boring, stupid game to me. There's certain games around the world.
Nothing in there that happens that excites me and makes me want to watch it. I have zero interest. I mean, what I watch the NBA for is, you know, the fast pace, physical, even though it's becoming less physical, the dunking, the crazy shots. You know, they're freak athletes. They're not
athleticism is what you're watching.
Yeah,
freak
like I have zero interest in watching layup after layup. That just isn't, or missed layup after missed layup. Like that doesn't. It's not fun for me.
Yeah. When you're bragging about passes and not on a Magic Johnson level, but like no, it's a slow. Like no athleticism. It's just like, you were given a gift of being tall for a chick. And like, no, none of it. I don't know why the basketball hoop is as high as it is. Like you're women. Okay. Let's acknowledge you have a smaller ball. The net should be dropped a foot and a half. And then you can do your version of bad, you know, hardcore dunks, whatever.
Yeah. Right.
It would still be, you know, not what the guys are doing, but whatever.
But like, you know, not all sports are like that. Women's tennis, for example, very entertaining. Yeah. Women's tennis is very entertaining. I would gladly watch women's tennis.
It's better than men's. It's better than men's. Men's hit the ball too hard. There's not enough
women's soccer. Women's soccer can be entertaining if you like soccer, I suppose. But
I've never watched it, but sure.
But like I know that they, you know, it's not. The sport isn't different when it's women's soccer or women's tennis. Like it's the same sport. Whereas basketball, it's like you've got this smaller ball and you've got this, you know, like they don't have the same talent as the men do. And so it's just a different game. It's not as enjoyable. And I resent being, you know, like you must watch it because you're a woman. Yeah. No, fuck that.
No.
So I think I texted you recently and I was like, I'm pissed because ESPN is just on my TV and there's a women's basketball game on. And so now I gave them ratings and I'm mad about it.
I do the same thing when I turned my TV on. It was just on whatever channel was on the night before. And it's like, no. I was watching a real sporting event last night when I went to bed.
Yeah.
Like I don't want them getting the ratings.
Yeah. I always have ESPN on the background when I'm working and it's like I'm halfway through my workday and I'm like, God damn it, the women's basketball tournament's on. Yeah. And I've been watching this midday.
Yeah. It's hilarious. I do the same exact thing where it's like, no.
Like I want to write Nielsen's ratings and be like, I just want to say, you can't count my house. I wasn't watching it.
Yeah, it was on in the background. I didn't realize it was on. I shut it off the second I realized. Please do not take that one and count it.
Right.
When you're doing these stories like, well, ratings are up. There were 263,000. It's like no.
No.
-1 because I
262,999.
Yeah. Mike and Amy from a neighbor from the north. You probably heard me screaming at my radio from Arizona. First, yes, Ford canceling the Starlink is stupid. I'll give you that one. Yeah, dumb.
Yeah.
Ooh, $100 million. Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh.
But Americans in general believe you are keeping us poor Canadians alive. Without your generosity, we would all die a miserable death in the fetal position. No, you're projecting there. I do not feel that way at all.
No, I'm just kidding.
Amy might. I can't speak for Amy. The reason you buy our oil and electric power is it's cheaper. Governments don't buy anything from Canada. Companies do. If DTE can get power $1 cheaper, why wouldn't they? Canada is happy to sell them power. Americans in the northern states get cheaper, cleaner power. The oil from Alberta is shit. Cheaper product. It's a heavy crude from bitumen. Refineries throughout the state switched over to crack this type of oil into gas, jet fuel, and diesel, and keeps your price at the pump low. The oil companies make money from this. If you drill domestically, it will cost you more at the pump, bottom line. Also, 85% of your potash comes from Saskatchewan. You need fertilizer for food and cornfields. Ethanol is made from corn. United States uses about 1 million barrels a day of ethanol mixed with gasoline. You could get fertilizer from Russia or China, but would cost you more, and they don't have enough to sell to the States anyway. Lumber used in house construction comes from Canadian North. The Canadian North. Trees grow slower because of cold and grain is tighter, so it's preferable for house construction. There is a crap load to forests in the northern Alberta and BC. It's cheaper, not restricted by environmental tree huggers. We have uranium deposits that go to your nuclear plants, as well as 29/31 of rare earth minerals to go into Elon's cars. We have nickel mines that go into American weapons. Could go on, but you get the idea. If these resources would be available in the States for cheaper, than Trump wouldn't be trying to make a deal with Ukraine for minerals or attempting to annex Greenland to game it. Yeah, but those are rare earth minerals in Ukraine.
That's also trying to end the war there.
100%. But those are rare earth minerals for smartphones and batteries that you're trying to catch up, compete, not let China dominate the world with that. That's what Ukraine minerals is about. Bottom line is the States isn't giving anything to Canada or Mexico. Companies buy from us to either save money or make money, or it's simply not or enough available. Remember, tariffs were tried in the 30s and didn't work then. They won't work now. You want to take it first?
I mean, that I don't deny that there are things that we need from Canada, but a lot of what you just said, I reckon can be made here. And you can say that it's going to be more expensive if we produce it, but I have to disagree with you. I mean, just logically, and I'm not an economist, I'm not anything. So I don't know, I might be wrong, but to me, if you don't have to pay for importing it, moving it, tariffs, like it's natural that if you produce it here, it's going to be cheaper. So why don't we just try to produce what we do have? And yeah, we might need you for some trees and I don't know, that other thing that we need to put in our fields for crops. But like, I don't know, can we just try with our own oil? We've got a fuck ton of it. So can we just try with our own? I don't know.
I don't know enough about this myself to be able to make like hardcore arguments either way. I'm willing to listen. I don't know what the truth is about why the USMCA is the way it is, why it was agreed to, how that all works and goes down. Like, you agreed to this, even Trump's administration agreed to this years ago, and blah, 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 blah. That doesn't mean a ton to me because I know how our government works, and so I don't know.
Like, we're never allowed to do anything different because we agreed to it 8 years ago. Like, what? That doesn't make sense.
And who knows what was behind, this group got this for signing that. Like, there's usually so much bullshit tied to anything. So I have no idea, but there are claims being made of 250% tariffs applied on these certain products. Is that the whole story? I have no idea. I think reciprocal tariffs, for my ignorant mind, make sense. Like, okay, you want to play that game? India wants to put 8% tariffs on this shit. Fine, 8% to you. You want to lower it? You want to raise it? Whatever you want to do. And the point being with that, I think that there's a lot more that that you need from us at the end of the day. You need this market a lot more than we need your market. So if you want to have it fair, okay, and I've admitted ignorance here, so I'm willing to listen to both sides, but that seems fair to me. Now, maybe there's a very legitimate reason why you go, no. The reason why you need to put 200% tariffs on Canadian products when it comes to, eggs and milk and cheese is because of this, and it makes up the difference on the back end for this. Like, well, okay, you can lay that out. I know what the claims are being made. Trump has been bitching about this issue specifically, not just with Canada or Mexico. He was bitching about this with China in the 80s. He's been a broken record about this type of thing. We're getting ripped off around the world, and the belief is you can afford it. You're America. You can afford it. And Trump's going, fuck that. No, it's fair is fair. So you make a lot of good points there. Glad we have Canadians that can check in and
like I think our point was kind of what, along the lines of what you said, is like, we're not saying we're keeping you alive, with our sports, but in the grand scheme of things, we're a bigger powerhouse than Canada. We have more power than Canada. We would win the tariff war with Canada. We would win any war with Canada.
Which is why Ford caved immediately when Trump went, all right, 100%. Like, and it was like, whoa.
Yeah. And, I don't know. I guess I'd have to think about it. But if someone said to me, hey, Amy, you don't have to pay federal income tax, but your car might be $100 more. You cool with that? I'd be like, yeah, I am. I'm fine with my car being a little bit more expensive if I don't have to pay federal income taxes. Like, if we're replacing that money with money that we're getting from tariffs, I don't know. I mean, do I want to pay both? No, I would not want to do that. But I'm also willing to try something different and see if it works. I don't think that that's a bad thing to just sit back and have things be status quo and let people take advantage of us. I don't know. I'm not down with that.
There's a couple ways we can, as Americans or even Canadians, since they're pulled into the conversation too, there's a few ways we can choose to see it. We could either come on and go, it's over. The sky's falling. Every time it rains, it's inevitable. It's all over. It's done. We're done. Or I've learned enough to go, I'm going to take a beat on this one. I don't know, but my guess is the Ukraine thing and Russia thing will get figured out here. I understand the way they're doing things, and it doesn't surprise me that now Russia's come to the table, Ukraine's come to the table, and they're going to sort some shit out, and we'll go from there. My guess is Canada will be much like that. And so for all the people losing their fucking minds, acting like you're the worst neighbor ever, like, just take a beat, relax. I'm not, and I don't think anyone's talking about Canadian citizens. That's really important too. It's not about the citizens of America, the citizens of Canada. You're talking about governments at this level. And you had a real shitbag in Justin Trudeau for way too fucking long. I didn't put him in charge. We had to deal with that dipshit every time he opened his mouth, though.
Yeah, you guys are the ones that elected the racist blackface dude.
Yeah.
Don't look at me.
Yeah, don't look at us. We didn't put Prime Minister Blackface in charge of shit.
Right.
So anyway, I would just say take a beat. And no, none of us think that, without us, Canada, you'd fold tomorrow.
Yeah.
Some tough son of a bitches.
Canada's great to drink at when you're 19. We want it there still.
Yeah. It's fun to go to the casinos and the all new titty bars.
Hell yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
All right. Let's call it a day there, Ames. I'll text you later about tomorrow.
I'm free tomorrow, so whatever.
Okay, cool. And Mike Massey's coming to town this weekend to Arizona. Your buddy. I'll say hi for you. If I can get him in here even for a few minutes and maybe do a song or two, I'll try to do that this weekend, but we'll see. He's kind of in and out. He's performing at some beautiful venue on Saturday.
Ask him to request "God Bless America" or something.
Yeah, there you go. He'd probably cry. He'd probably fold and cry.
Or the YMCA.
I'll be in the front row doing this for him. Yeah. You're hilarious. All right. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Have a great evening, Ames.